Here's Amanda. All right, yay, Amanda, you're able to get in.
Thank you to Erin who sent me the link. I'm happy to change all the calendar invites if someone just gives me the password or something.
Well, the password is embedded in the link. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Maybe not the calendar link, but like I clicked on the
Let's
link
see.
this morning. Connie clicked on the link that was on the agenda.
I can't get in through the calendar. I always have to go to Podio and do it.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah,
And
I've done that
I just
too.
couldn't get it through Podio today on my phone because I have to use my phone
Oh,
today.
phone, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Yay,
if
thanks,
somebody just gives me the
everybody.
password, maybe I guess it's in the link that you sent me, Erin. I'll just add it to the calendar invite going forward.
So the
Myself.
password says on Podio, it's 056251.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
056251. That's what it says in Podio. So I don't know if it'll work. Hopefully it does.
That's perfect. I'm going to put it in my calendar invite and I'm good to go from now on.
Okay. All right. I know Janae's not able to be here, and who else from the same one? Janae. Oh, Debbie is not here. But let's go ahead and get going. So we'll call the meeting to order here. And first on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Let's see, I think we need a motion and then open for discussion.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
All right, do we have discussion?
Would somebody be willing to post the agenda on, to put it on the screen?
Cindy, are you taking care of that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have a few questions myself. For budget and membership and programming. So first, do you think Karina would help us learn more and or connect with the Propel in Minnesota folks? There was some comment in one of the letter notes that I saw about Propel in Minnesota, which was it had something to do with nonprofit financing, I think.
I think maybe that was in the membership, and I think that was maybe from Sarah's comments.
Yeah, spent some time with Karina having an individual meeting. So yeah, that was in there. And I've forgotten the initials, but they have two organizations in Minnesota. They have the one that's their association for members, and then they have the Propel, which is a lot of services, and somehow they have access to a lot of money for loans. So yes, I think Karina wants to get back to Minnesota. So I think once she gets settled, she'd be happy to talk to us about anything.
Okay. Yeah, I was really intrigued by at least the blurb that was in there. And like I said, I know that Karina's leaving Kansas, but hopefully she'll still be open for making connections with her.
I will keep that going. Thank you, Madam Pres.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
In the minutes, Colin McKinney's name only has one L in it. I don't know that that's huge, but I did notice that.
Accuracy is good. So yes, if we could change Colin's name in the minutes, that'd be good. Also, I think in membership, there was a WSU study mentioned on, was it community awareness of
Yes, ma'am.
the nonprofit chamber?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that sounding familiar to anybody?
Yes, no, well, yes, it's only gonna sound familiar to Chanel maybe. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten direction from Cindy, or do you want that to go to the full board?
Yes, I'd be interested in seeing it, just if we could just make it available on Podio.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then there were some things mentioned about at the conference lunch hour. So this would be programming. And would that include things like highlighting the benefits of like Grant Station and the insurance opportunities that members have through nonprofit chamber?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we talked a little bit about, should we highlight us, Cindy, or should we spend that time highlighting other organizations such as Vista and
Yeah, we are gonna do some highlights of Vista and Unite Us over the lunch hour, but we have 3 different lunch hours. And for those showcases, so one of those we were gonna use to highlight the Kansas Nonprofit Chamber.
Yeah, because I noticed, that's part of our budget that is a little low. So if we could get more members to buy into those services, that would help.
Yep.
And then I do have a couple questions about the budget. Are we gonna do that? Let's see, are we doing that anywhere?
I think it'd be here since the financials are here.
Yeah. Cindy, could you pull up the budget statement? I think that would be easier to show the questions that I have. And it's just clarification pretty much on my part because I wasn't sure what's what.
Is the statement of financial position or the,
It's the one with the 2 columns.
Budget.
And
Well,
I
budget
didn't-
versus actual, probably?
Yes, that one.
All right, give me a second, because for some reason, Google is not.
Yeah, because we do have the, Amy, we do have I did show the budget. So are you talking about the budget versus actual report, or are you referring to?
Yeah, I think
the
so.
actual
And
budget?
I'm sorry, I don't have that pulled up on my computer. Let me see if I can do that.
Okay.
Are you pulling it up on your computer, Amy?
I'll,
Okay, I'm struggling to get to it. So
I have it up. I don't know if I can share it, but I have it up.
I'll make it where you can share.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was going to say I had it as well, but go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I'll happily defer to,
Does it say you can share down there, Aaron?
let me see.
no.
No, I cannot.
Okay. Yeah, I tried as well, Cindy, and it says,
All right, I had to change you to the host. I don't know why that is,
That's
because
weird.
generally you ought to be able to just share, but you ought to be able to share now.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. All right. Can everybody see it now?
Yes, yes. So my first I just want to say, notice that there was a big overage on incoming memberships from what we budgeted. And the finance committee, we determined or confirmed that the budget here is year-to-date budget. So incoming memberships was over considerably.
Okay,
So
scroll down so I can see where.
Sorry, in kind.
Yeah, so it was nonprofit membership dues. So that like, yay. Wanted to acknowledge that. That was good.
Is it on the second page here?
No, it was right
Oh,
there.
no.
Right
Oh, I'm
there.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
go up a little more. There it is.
Oh, it's this one.
total membership dues, 27,000.
Yeah. And then, so yay for that. I just wanted to acknowledge that that was a good thing. And then there's a second member, let's see, outgoing membership dues. I had a question why that's listed twice. So I just need to know what's what. So on page 3,
Okay.
in general operating expenses, there's memberships that we're paying. And then page 4, total membership expenses. I'm wondering what the difference is, just so that I know.
So that membership dues, the difference is the National Council of Nonprofits.
So we separate that particular membership out from other memberships that we might be.
No, is it separated out?
There's memberships that in 2 places. One is under general operating expenses on
Okay,
page 3,
Uh-huh.
and then there's a separate one on page 4, total membership expenses.
Oh, let's see.
Am I just reading it wrong?
That looks like marketing expenses, or no,
Yeah,
that's not
that's-
right.
right. No, that's tied to other, like, if we do a direct mail or something like that, if we had a special recruiting, open house or something like that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is not. This is dues payment fees. So, sorry, I didn't read that right. So every time we take a membership payment via credit card, there's a fee. And so these are the fees associated with taking those payments.
Okay, thank you. I saw membership twice. I'm like, so thank you. Those were my points of discussion / clarification / yay, kudos for more nonprofit memberships.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have points of discussion, questions, or anything?
I think we probably should point out that we still owe Cindy money on the balance sheet. Just so the board is aware of that.
Is that on this one?
Next page, a little bit further, the getting close. There
Here we go.
you go. Yeah.
Okay. So we're still about 16,000, 15,000 in wages.
Yeah.
So, got to figure that out. Okay, so if there is no more discussion, speak now or hold your peace till you're done. So we had a first and a second. So all in favor then of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Hands or little
Aye.
emojis?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you much. Okay, so I guess Cindy, now if you would return to showing the agenda, that'd be great.
Aaron will have to make me the host again.
Oh, sorry.
Can't make people co-hosts.
Well, that's what I was looking for, and I'm not.
Zoom has been acting weird. They must have had some update to make things less helpful.
I mean, if you want to have the sharing option open default,
Yeah.
I think I know where to do that.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I was thinking about it when we were in one of our early meetings. It makes sense if you're using this Zoom for other, for bigger meetings with members, trainings and stuff. You don't necessarily want everybody to be able to
Yes.
jump
in and start sharing bad things.
Okay, so next point on our agenda is board education. Quick and easy, the social media nag is just nagging you again to please like, share, post, create your own posts. On Cindy, the most active is Facebook, correct?
That's correct.
Are we doing anything on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn?
Yes,
Okay.
all of those.
Okay, so again, just a reminder, folks, if you would please do share things, even if Cindy and her team haven't posted something, you can make a quick post of just what you're doing, you know. Hey, I was part of the nonprofit chamber board meeting today, or the retreat, you know, something like that. Let people know, especially as we're trying to recruit some board members, that we're active, we're looking for some good people. We work with some good people, that kind of stuff. That'd be great. All right.
Amy, that's good. As we move towards the conference, that's going to be especially important that we have board members share with other people about the upcoming conference to get registrations.
Yes, and I would, yeah, that and programming, as we saw in the budget, programming is way low. So the more that we can share about our events to get people to, and as Cindy said, especially the conference, the better it will be.
Have we identified a hashtag like for the conference that we want to use, that we could also then use later to go back and collect things that people posted?
We can do that.
Good call, Aaron. So
My
yeah,
suggestion would be hashtag Aaron Walker, but we can do that later, I guess.
Oh, Connor.
I second.
yeah. So Cindy, just let us know when you come up with a hashtag, and we can start using it. And sorry, Aaron, I really don't think it will be hashtag Aaron Walker. Just
I think in the past we've used
It's all right.
hashtag think big, be bold.
Yeah.
would
Well,
we want to add a
sorry.
view to that? That may not be necessary. Just think big, be bold, and we have everything all together.
Yeah, and I mean, whatever we decide, we should search and make sure that there aren't a lot of other things out there already. Since we have the Inspire Awards, it could just be Inspire, but I would imagine that hashtag Inspire has been used a few times. So
Yeah, and I think big, be bold is the hashtag we've used in the past.
yeah, I think that's right.
We could slap a 2022 behind that.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe we don't. I don't know what. Let's see. We don't really have any marketing experts on our board, do we?
No, but I spent 25 years in marketing. Does that count?
Well, okay, yes.
That counts.
Yes, that does count.
Not on the board though.
That's true. We could still use somebody in marketing on the board. But with hashtags, is it best to add the year so you have separation of years, or is it best to just put it all together? I don't know.
Well, I think for the purpose of searching for hashtags for that particular year to see what kind of, how many people use that hashtag or what they talked about, it'd be good for a particular year, but otherwise you just pull up everything from all the years.
Yeah.
We could also add it to the script, since a lot of the sessions are introduced by board members. There was a little bit of a script last year.
Yep.
And we could add, at the very beginning of it, please tweet or post or whatever, that you're here and what your favorite things are about the conference, stuff like that.
For the ACLU. Jessica, were you saying something? And I just couldn't hear you. I think she's just probably background noise. Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on social media? Okay. Next topic, old business Foundry update.
So we are still working to finish filling the offices. We had somebody that came in this last week that used to be in our office when he was with Social Innovation Lab. He's now with Glisten. So he has an interest in taking one of the offices. We only have one open office. Well, we have two open offices downstairs, and then the one combined office that has all the desk in it that Sandy is in. And so it looks pretty positive that they'll take that one office, and I believe the bonds company, their intentions are to take the other office. That will pretty much fill us up other than just the individual desk. And we had a flood, so we're trying to recover from the flood.
Well, certainly the water didn't come from outside. We haven't had any of that.
No, we had a toilet that overflowed,
Oh, no.
and because it's on this floor, on the top floor, when it overflowed, it flowed down to the kitchen below. We got the mess all cleaned up. It was, fortunately, we happened to have, and my son, between us and my son-in-law, all the stuff for disaster recovery for drying out stuff, and the fans and the dehumidifier and all that. So
Out and come back in. Does that close? Does that leave turn? Discontinue the meeting? Oh, there she is. There she is. Cindy, when you were talking about the flood, you were choppy. Would you repeat what you said about the toilet overflowing?
am I still frozen?
Not now, no.
What did you miss? The water flowing to the kitchen downstairs?
Yeah,
Yes, we missed that.
Yeah, so the water flowed to the kitchen downstairs below the bathroom. But fortunately, my son-in-law used to do disaster recovery. And between him and us, we have the appropriate equipment, the fans, the wetbacks, dehumidifiers and all to clean all that up. We just need to replace a couple of ceiling tiles in the kitchen, but you
Hey,
know,
Cindy,
life happens.
Cindy,
Yes,
is there a
yes.
predicted income from Glisten or from the bond corp taking over that extra space?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there a projected revenue, or what do you expect from the bond company or Glisten for the Foundry spaces?
So the bond company, we would make them pay $400 a month for that additional office. Glisten would pay $300. They're a nonprofit.
Thank you.
We're charging the bonds company a little bit more because they're not a nonprofit. Is that mean of me?
no. That was quick.
Okay. Any other questions or information on Foundry update? I think it's exciting that we're nearly full with offices. And we can have as many rotating non-dedicated membership pluses as, you know,
Yes.
almost unlimited. So that's great. All right, ARPA update. We've invited Ashley to join us. She doesn't typically join us for board meetings, but with the ARPA grant, we thought it'd be helpful to have her here to ask or answer questions. Number one, give us kind of an overview and then answer any questions we might have. So take it away, Ashley.
All right. So I sent out the big timeline and broke it out by the main tasks are the things that we're contractually obligated to do along that timeline. And then the subtasks are kind of what I was thinking we would have to do to get that done. The next thing that we need to work on is putting together the review panel. And also developing the application as well as the infrastructure behind that. So the review panel needs to consist of 1 board member, 1 staff member, 1 member organization representative, and then 2 community representatives. So I don't know if we want to discuss that so we can start crafting that group, since we're going to need to schedule meetings and stuff like that. I figure the sooner the better. Does anybody have any questions about the timeline before I talk about publicity?
Ashley, can you please repeat what it is we need to find for the committee or whatever?
For the panel, yeah. So 1 board member, 1 staff member, 1 member organization representative, and then 2 community representative.
Do you all have any ideas of who those people should be? And they probably, because this is this is specifically for City of Wichita, not Sedgwick County. Thoughts about who those community reps might be?
Would they be?
I didn't know if you had some preferences.
Would it be inappropriate to have somebody on city council be one of those people, or somebody from city staff?
That's what I was wondering.
Would it be more like constituents of, potential constituents of nonprofits that might get the money?
Is there anyone at Main Street or at the Wichita Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah, I would think the city, I mean, certain city staff probably wouldn't, but I would think the city council specifically would consider themselves a conflict
Yeah,
to be on the decision board.
most definitely. I'd have to agree with that.
I like the chamber idea a lot.
Cindy, is the Wichita Chamber a member of the nonprofit chamber?
We trade memberships,
Okay, so they would be one of the member,
right?
not community, right?
Maybe the Hispanic chamber too. I'm maybe that's blowing up the membership. How many total people are you looking at, Ashley? Was it like 5? Okay.
And then Ashley will be the staff member, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Ashley will be the staff member, correct?
I think that would
Ashley-
probably be a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
When would you like the names of board members who might be interested in serving on this committee? When would you like people to
So
let you know by?
my goal would be by the end of next week, if that works.
So if we have, I don't know, 5 board members that want to serve, how would you choose?
I don't know.
Ashley,
Rock, paper, scissors, or
I think that if we had 5 board members that wanted to serve, I would really prefer that those 5 board members have that discussion about who of those 5 would really have the most time to commit and kind of decide for themselves, other than us having to decide which board member to pick, because that seems a little bit uncomfortable.
Good point. Ashley, how much time do you think that this would take to participate in this committee or board?
so the plan is to have 1 meeting to discuss applicants a month. I don't really have an idea of how long those meetings are going to have to be, because I don't know how many applicants we're going to be getting. But I would think at least an hour, if not a couple of hours.
Okay. Plus reading applications and things like
Right,
that.
plus reviewing the applications. I would send out all of the applications that we've gotten beforehand so everyone could review them and then
Okay.
discuss.
All right. Just thought that would be helpful to have a picture of what that commitment might look like.
Right.
From my history working at a philanthropy that gauged grants and had discussions similar, I would recommend scheduling 2 to 3 hours if it's just once a month, especially at the beginning, because everybody's gonna be kind of figuring things out at the first few meetings, and having a pretty specific process laid out ahead of time. Like
my plan was to create like a rubric, basically a scoring system.
yeah, that would be good.
Could you also name an alternate board member just in case there's an issue or an absence?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if Kim Cronister would be good for
Oh,
that committee, because she served on our board for a while. She's still doing independent consulting, but has, certainly been in the nonprofit world a number of years, worked for Workforce at one point in time, so she kind of has that hat. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Is she an individual chamber member,
No,
or would she would be
she's just
The
would be a
community.
community member.
community? Okay.
I just talked to her not too long ago at ICT Summit, and it sounded like she was wanting to get back involved a little bit. So she might be a good choice.
Yeah, I had coffee with her, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and that's the impression I got. I just thought she might be a really good fit. She's very practical thinking, easy to work with. I don't know.
We've had a few people who work at philanthropies retire relatively recently who might be interested. Kim Moore from the United Methodist Health Ministry Fund. He seems to still have an interest in being involved in assisting nonprofits as one example of somebody who might also be good.
Somebody else you might consider as a member is somebody from Kansas Leadership Center.
Mhm.
Might be a really good addition. Raquel Thiessen, or I don't know.
Let's just make sure we're representing the community.
Yeah.
Well, that's unless Tyrena happens to be on the committee, then.
Ashley, is there another point?
Yes. Okay. So what I can do to wrap that up is I put together a Google sheet already. So I can send that out to everyone so we can kind of compile a list along with any contact information that you have. So I will send that out after this meeting. The next thing is the publicity plan. So I've kind of made a process that divvies out social media, email, and then offline media. I'm not sure on the timeline because I'm going back and forth between starting that publicity before we have the application on the website available, all that stuff, and then promoting people follow our social media and subscribe to Chamber Chatter and stuff like that in order to stay informed. Or do we wait? So do it before everything is set up or after everything is set up?
I think we should do it before, Ashley. I think we need to make an announcement of this, that we're receiving this grant. I noticed that I serve on the Empower Board, and I noticed they've already announced that they're receiving their $1 million.
Okay.
So I think certainly for us to announce and encourage people to watch for the upcoming applications to open, because then hopefully people will watch.
Okay.
So we haven't put out a press release yet for this.
No,
No,
we have not.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of creating some buzz
Okay.
in advance. I would agree. What does everybody else think?
I think that's a good idea. Coming soon.
Okay. So I'll put together a press release. I would love help from anyone as far as offline media. If you have TV or newspaper or any of those contacts, I would
I have those contacts.
Okay. Okay.
Is
So
Jessica,
Yeah, Jessica, do you know any good radio stations or anything?
No,
Jessica knows nobody in media.
I don't know anybody like that. No, give me a call and we can brainstorm. Absolutely.
okay. All right. So I will put together a press release and then put some dates on tasks and send that out as well. And then there were a couple of questions / concerns about financing that I looked into / wanted to give you guys an update on. One of which is that I applied to be what the city calls an emerging business enterprise. And once we get approved for that, that means that we get reimbursed in 10 days instead of 30 days, which would be very helpful, I would think.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And then there was kind of questions and uncertainty about what the administrative portion of the grant can be spent on, and they're applying that as a 10% de minimis as far as like federal guidelines are concerned. So that means we can spend it on rent, utilities, payroll, pretty much anything. There's not a whole lot that you can't spend it on. So we have a lot of flexibility there.
Yay.
And my hopes are to spend a portion of those funds to fund Ashley working 40 hours a week. And because she started out at 20, we've had her at 30 since we don't have a program coordinator, in order for her to be able to manage this and the other grants that we have her working on. She's been doing a great job at bringing grant funding in. I know we recently got a grant from Evergy, and so that's my thoughts.
So then I could like dedicate those additional 10 hours to managing the
Yes.
ARPA grant, and then that would free up the other 30 hours for me to continue doing all the other stuff. So
Perfect.
questions? That's all I have.
I have a question. What are the reporting requirements? What does that look like? Is it monthly?
Yes, once a month. And we were provided a spreadsheet, and it's pretty high level. The number of applications, who we fund, how much we fund. And then there's also performance reporting that we're going to have to ask our grantees to submit. And a big portion of that is going to be the demographics of the community members that they serve. So race, and then what they call equity impact zones. So it's certain zip codes that have been disproportionately affected and stuff like that. So
Those things link, Ashley, like, do we have to have a report from the funded entity before we can submit our report for, like, if we fund somebody in in July, do we have to have their report by the 10th so we can report by the 20th or something like that?
So I actually just sent an email to the person that I've been working with on reporting stuff at the city, because what we outlined in our application was that we would require quarterly reporting from our grantees, but we're required to do monthly reporting. So I'm not sure if we have to ask them to also do monthly reporting or if we can do quarterly. My hope
Gotcha.
is that we can do quarterly because it's a fairly small grant amount for us to ask them to do monthly reporting, I feel.
Yeah, agreed.
So I don't know yet. So
Who are you working with at the city with regards to reporting?
I am working with, if you give me 1 second. Let's see. I'm working with Adam Nevinzall.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Ashley, the percentages followed the fiscal year 23 quarters correctly? Correct, rather?
Pretty much, yeah. As far as like the benchmark points where we're supposed to have funding dispersed.
And then is the chamber needing to get a line of credit since this is a reimbursement?
That would be a Cindy/Finance Committee question.
That would be a finance committee question.
Cindy, do you know if we have any collateral, anything to use as collateral?
No. No, we don't. Our office
Okay.
furniture, I guess. We could use Sarah as collateral.
Hi, you muted.
She's valuable.
Oh, we could get a really big loan for that.
Yeah.
Millions.
Any other questions related to the ARPA so that we can, got a few other things to discuss today.
I think just regular reminders, Ashley, on the stuff that you need as we're approaching those dates. I don't know about everybody else, but this summer feels particularly overwhelming. So just, you know, send out something a couple days ahead of your deadline, and hopefully everybody else is not dealing with the same level of stuff.
Yeah, I can send updates, absolutely.
Amy, do we need to task or have a motion to task the finance committee to determine a line of credit?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hear you. Let me turn up my volume.
I'm sorry. Do we need a motion from the board to task the finance committee to determine what or how to establish a line of credit and set a deadline?
I don't know officially, but it sounds like a good idea to just to have, because if that's not something we have right now and it's something we may need, I think that that's something the board should weigh in on.
And to give you a timeline of when we would start giving money to subrecipients, that would be in November and December. So.
Irina, can we add that to next month's agenda?
Yes, I'll put it on there.
Thank you.
So yeah, so the steps would be finance committee considers the question and then would bring it to the board next month if we need to vote on it. Or like if they determine that would be a good idea to move forward, and then we'd have the board vote on actually doing the work of finding out what it would take to create a line of credit.
With the
Okay.
32, I'm sorry, Amy, with the 32.5 administrative, could that be used as collateral? I know we're using some of that for Ashley, but could some of that be used as collateral?
I'm thinking that might be a question that nobody would be able to answer now. I don't know.
Okay.
Debbie, Terry, and anybody?
One thing
I
that we could do is start using some of that to pay for other things to free up the money that would otherwise go to like building costs or things like that. So
Well, and
Yeah, they might require a signature, a guarantee from some of the board.
and
If there's no
covering-
collateral, that's pretty common.
Yeah, covering the cost of salary certainly frees up funds.
Also, I think, so the plan is then finance committee considers this next month and then determines whether or not to bring the issue back to the board for approval to pursue it.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Any other questions related to the ARPA funds or process?
No, but just, I want to thank Ashley again for all of her hard work on it.
yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Well, and not to mention Aaron and Ian, and I think
Yes.
Connie. I think those are the other people that helped kind of direct and guide that grant. Certainly Aaron came up with the idea for how, what we should focus on. So yeah, we appreciate all of that. This is huge for us to be able to get this funding.
Go team.
Yeah, I think it really could. I'm excited because it really could drive some new people to engage with us, new nonprofits to engage with us in a way that they haven't before. So I think it's a great opportunity.
Well, and it also helps bring a distinction to the nonprofit chamber as opposed to our other competitors.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Well,
Woo, way to go. Okay.
yeah, great. All right, and thank
Learning
you,
from the
Ashley.
cheering session.
Thank you, Ashley, for being here and for filling us in. Let's move on to potential board members. We are down 5. Actually, I think we're down 6 now that Karina. 'Cause I
We're
think
down
this was-
6.
Yeah. This was sent out before Karina let us know that she was leaving. So we are down 6 and we need 2, or is it 3 executive directors now?
I think we need 2.
Okay. So these folks were mentioned last time, I believe. Zach, Leanne, Jennifer. Ian, did you have a chance to reach out to Zach and Leanne?
I talked
Oh.
to Zach.
Oh, you, okay, I was thinking I saw in the minutes that Ian was talking with folks. So go ahead, Zach, kind of.
So I talked to Zach and he mentioned that he knew Ian. And he was very interested in the possibility of joining our board, and mentioned that since his organization was not currently a member, it would be, he was very interested in finding out how much that would cost. And so I sent that information to Cindy and staff to send him the application for board membership, and to let them know what the cost of the Capper Foundation's membership would be if they were to join. So that's my report on that.
That sounds
And then-
positive.
We actually have 7 open positions. And we have currently have 4 EDs.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I missed somebody.
So Amy, I have not reached out to Leanne. Leanne is actually getting ready to retire, but I will email her and see what she's willing to do.
Well, people in retirement still like to do stuff.
You don't know Leanne.
Oh. You're right, I know. And then Jennifer Brantley, from the minutes from last month, I think I was put on the list to reach out to her. I've not done that. I didn't see the minutes until this week, so I did not have a chance. And I was actually working with Sarah because Jennifer Sarah was gonna talk with Jennifer about helping us to connect with the other county extension offices as members. And I thought that might be a little bit more important to let her work on that and get some investment in that. And then I just didn't want to hit her with, could you do this for this? And could you do this for us? And could you do this for us? So Sarah, just keep me up to date on that aspect of things. And then I'll talk with her about potentially being on the board.
Hey, Sarah, Travis Carmichael at Lyon County County Extension might be a good contact for you.
Thank you. Amy, just to respond to that, Jennifer is working on it, but she wants to meet with her whole team, so it's going to take a few weeks to make those connections, but it is in the works. So thank you, Ian. I'll add this connection and talking to Jennifer.
Okay, great. So, I mean, that's only 3 names for 7 positions. So we need to continue to think of potential board members. I was asked by a friend of mine this week if I wanted to join the board of Kanzel, and I said, well, not now. But by the way, since we're talking boards, what do you think about nonprofit chamber? And he said he was taking a few things off his plate in the next few weeks, and so we can talk. Tyrina, you may know him because he's one of KLC's, or at least he had been chosen for one of KLC's roaming team members, Jonathan McCroy.
Yes, we know him.
Okay, well, we can like double team him and bring him on board.
So I
I
wonder,
can help with that.
I wonder, I might be tempted to reach out to the North Central Regional Planning Commission because I just wrapped up doing my 1 year of training for them, and see if they either have somebody, or even if Laura Lete, who was part of all that, but she is an individual consultant, might have an interest or know of somebody out in that area that might potentially have an interest. Certainly, they'd have to join and become a member, but that would give us somebody from out in that area.
And the lady who did the advocacy day at the Hill in Topeka,
Yes,
I'm assuming she's a member.
she is not.
She's not a member of the chamber?
No.
Well, number one, how can we get her to be a member? And then could she help us connect with some folks up in Topeka
Right.
for membership and, both chamber membership and potentially board membership?
Sure.
If you guys get Zach on the board, he has the connections in the Topeka, Northeast Kansas area. And then I wanted to ask about Susan at Ronald McDonald House. Is she still there? And is she a potential?
She is still there. I don't think she's potential. She won't I mean, she's let us know several times she would not join the chamber. She doesn't think it's something that she needs. And I mean, she did go through our emerging lead program at one point in time, but I don't see her becoming a member at all.
Just one point per Amy's request, I've done a real deep dive at comparing the association and the nonprofit Go and us. And what the association posts is that they have, I can't remember, I think 6 board members, and then they say from what part of the state they represent. So that was kind of interesting. So I thought we might want to keep that in mind.
Cindy, I wanted to check in with you about, so the lawyers that I reached out to seemed really interested, and I kind of jumped off that conversation.
Yes.
And like, have you heard anything from them? Where, I just was wondering where that stood.
I did.
If you needed anything.
I don't know. I responded to them and explained what our benefits and stuff were and what the cost would be, but I haven't received any response.
Okay, does it make sense to maybe reach back out to them and say,
Yeah,
do you need more information? Because it really sounded like
This past month has just been really crazy because I've been in the office very little because I traveled and went to a national conference to present and traveled and went to Florida to do some consulting and then traveled. So I haven't been in the office very much in the last month, but yes, that absolutely does make sense. And we'd love to have an attorney on the board again.
Yeah, I mean, they sounded really like they felt like somebody in the community would be really interested. And I know that the Women's Attorney Association is meeting this weekend in Lynchburg. So to just get it on their radar would be great.
Thank you. I will reach back
Okay.
out to them.
Thank you.
I would like to reiterate that as well. In our membership meeting, this wouldn't have been in these minutes or for our consent agenda, but Sarah and Cindy and I had a conversation about, while you all who are executive directors do great work, you are requesting funds for your own organizations as well as trying to fundraise and increase membership for the nonprofit chamber. And so maybe there is an argument to try and get some more corporate members to the board, because we don't have to request for money every day for our own organizations, and that makes it a little bit easier to spend our volunteer time doing some of that. So just a thought. I know from what I understand, there is a requirement to have a certain amount of executive directors, so I know we need to keep that present, but potential to think about the attorneys, the accountants, the other professional individuals, especially services that could also provide some programs for the chamber, doing some of the presentations to the nonprofits and really getting those services in front of them. So just a thought.
Yeah, thank you, Chanel. I appreciate your input there.
Thank you, Chanel, for reminding me. Thank you for bringing that up, because when Cindy and I were in DC, when we were really looking at the composition of a lot of the boards, they are heavy on foundations and universities.
And businesses.
And businesses.
They
So
really are.
looking forward, again, I know what the bylaws say, but I don't know what you're doing tonight, but might want to look at composition as we go forward.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think there's kind of tends to be we ask people we know, and if we're in the nonprofit space, we mostly know people in the nonprofit space, unless they're on our particular board, and you don't want to, rob from your own organization to cannibalize board members for another one. So, but if we can ask, you can ask board members, who else do you know from your company that wouldn't necessarily want to be part of this board, but might be interested in serving on a board for a different organization. Any other thoughts on potential board members? All right, putting a plug in for strategic planning board retreat. It is both in person and online. So that's this evening. I will be sending out an agenda early this afternoon. My apologies for not getting it out earlier. Note to self, don't plan a retreat shortly after going away on vacation for 2 weeks, especially when the board chair and the CEO are on vacation for 2 weeks and actually missed the meeting prior to it. So I really hope to have more of a collaborative planning process. I didn't see how to be able to get that done. So we will be meeting from 4 to 6 at the chamber. Figure hey, we've got the space. Let's enjoy our space. Don't have to pay anybody else to use our space. And Chris Stanier will be facilitating the discussion. I've had some interesting time in the last week or so going over past strategic plans. Cindy had made a comment that, yeah, the board has gone through a lot of strategic plans and strategic planning process, but not either not kept up with it, or they're really, as I was looking at things, we've not really had a way to keep up with our strategic plans or to review necessarily, or a more formalized process to help us do that. So I don't plan to let's start from scratch. I kind of want, let's look back to see what we've already planned and discuss where we can go from there and how we can actually implement those plans. And on the other, kind of on the positive side, there are some things that we have done. And so we'll kind of highlight some of the progress that we've made on past strategic plans and goals. So, and Chris will help us stay on track.
Amy, I hope that you'll note that every month when we send out the agenda, the second page of the agenda always has, you can't see these board goals that have been set and the committee goals that have been set. So we have that at every single meeting. It's on the agenda for every single meeting. I don't know whether you have intentions of reviewing these things tonight, but it's there to try to remind us what our goals are.
Yeah, so that's something I think, yes, and I noticed that was there. I'm like, okay, so it's here. Have we really gone back to it and said, how have we done? And maybe individual committees have, but I think as a board, we could perhaps do better with that. So those are some things that we'll be talking about tonight. Oh, and we'll have Mexican food for those of you who can be with us. And Erin, I don't know how we can get it to your house for delivery.
That's all right. I'll grab some food and watch you guys eat and eat.
Yeah, and Ian, by the time we got it to for you, it'd be way cold.
If you could chomp really close to the microphone, that would really make me feel like we were sitting next to each other. That'd be great.
I only chomp close to the microphone, so you guys will be fine.
Hashtag Aaron Walker.
Hashtag
Aaron Walker. Thank you, Connor.
Aaron choose.
2022.
All right, so new business, think big, be bold. Our conference is coming up. There are a few points there. Connor, do you want to add anything, and or the development committee want to add anything?
I mean, I think we're doing a good job of getting some people secured. There was some stuff that went down yesterday, so we might have to pivot with our main speaker or our start off speaker. Again, I don't want to operate in panic, or I don't operate in panic. So we need to see what kind of flushes out with all that, and then make a decision. So again, it's got to be a good look for the nonprofit chamber, but we also don't want to react too quickly and, you know, again, operate in panic. So if that's the case, we'll pivot and we'll find another speaker to start it out. I've got some younger professionals that that will serve on the young professionals on boards panel, and then I talked to Damon via LinkedIn. He says that he thinks he'll be able to end the conference. So as another keynote or ending speaker. So things are going good. What do we have? Group site sponsor. Yeah, so I'm going to talk to Hutton if anybody else has a business that would like to sponsor the event or host the event. You know, I'm going to try to get some things going there. We're still looking for sponsorships. Of course, that's anybody and everybody that helps nonprofits, that serves nonprofits. Again, trying to get more and more sponsorships. And then like Cindy mentioned earlier, we got to do a good job as a board of promoting that thing and getting it out there. Because again, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of love put into this thing. So it's gotta go, and we can't do that without all. How many people are on this screen right now? With all 10 to 15 of us promoting it, I think we can make it happen. So.
Connor, is there anything that we could do to help you with the keynote speaker situation?
No, I've got a couple other people on deck. Again, we have some time, obviously, to lock somebody down. Just again, I like kind of a crazy situation. So we just have to see what shakes out. So,
Okay. Well, if there's anything that any of us can do to help with that, at some point, let us know. I'm sure.
okay.
Connor, is there an identified topic that we're wanting to hit that might generate for me some names better than just any good speaker? Like, was there a specific thought about this person talking about some angle specifically?
No, I think with the first speaker, we talked about just bringing excitement. People like a well-known person that we can put out there saying, hey, you know, this, you know, if this person shows up or this person speaks, like, people would be excited about it, and really just generating excitement and fun. And hey, this is going to be a great conference. Talk about, you know, maybe their work in Wichita, whether that's nonprofit or for-profit or both or whatever. It was really just kind of a grab. So
Would Ed O'Malley be a good person to consider, since, I mean, he's moving from KLC to Kansas Health Foundation. His focus is going to be changing a bit, but getting to talk directly to the nonprofit community. I mean, I'm sure there are hundreds, I don't know about thousands, hundreds of people who've reached out to him to get a meeting now that he's going to be at Kansas Health Foundation, but this might be a way for him to address a bunch of people at once.
And he'd have a Kansas-wide appeal, not just Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he was definitely on the list.
Okay.
Tyrena,
I can certainly inquire with him on these dates. I mean, I do know that by him starting at the Kansas Health Foundation effective August 10th, he's going to be having a lot on his plate, but I certainly can initiate and start this conversation with him to see if he would.
Please do.
He possibly would. So would he be speaking on all of these days, or just on the 26th? Or
no, just the 26th. And Sarah reminded me of the time. Is it 8:30 or 8 to 9? What is it?
8:30.
8:30 to 9 or 8:30 to 9:30?
8:30 to 9:45.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just be that little fly in the ointment. We're looking at 2 white men bookends. So just kind of look at, are we representing the community or the state at our conference?
Don't stop being that fly, Sarah, because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but again, I think, I mean, right now we have somebody secured. I don't know with all the stuff going on that he would still want to do it. I think.
Who is it? Who is the person that you have secured that maybe no?
Greg the Hitman Williams.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, do you
Have you
guys know
heard
what
the
happened?
Yeah.
So on Facebook, one of his employees accused him of sexual assault. So.
And he's got a lawsuit pending.
Or sexual harassment. So
Yeah.
again, it just happened yesterday. So I mean, I'm not going to stand on on either side. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. So again, I doubt he will be our speaker, just with everything that's going on.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But again, I don't want. I don't want to take it like anybody's side on this, because I don't know what
Innocent until
happened.
proven guilty on the one hand.
Like it's like really, and this is what, like, so I mean, like Greg and I have had a good relationship. I mean, everything has always been professional. Everything has always been good with us. When it came out, people text me about it, and I said, you know what, it sucks either way. It sucks if it's true because he had me fooled, or it sucks if it's false because now his name is ruined forever. So again, that's all I know of right now.
And who did you say you have for the last speaker? I mean, for the ending?
Damon.
Damon Young?
Yep.
Okay.
He
Well, I'm trying to, I'm thinking that might be, I don't know. I don't want to say it might be a conflict either, because if we're asking Ed and have Ed and then Damon Young ending, that's both like 2 KLCs or.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Tyree. We've already asked Damon. I don't know if there's somebody at the Kauffman Foundation. I know there was somebody a few years ago that could have potentially opened from the Kauffman Foundation. I can't remember who that was.
Well,
Billy Hall from Sunflower Foundation, maybe. They're still doing work statewide.
so I want to kind of stop here
Yeah,
so that we
yep,
can
yep.
touch on a few other things here. So Connor, if you're open for people to send suggestions, connections that they have, we'll move forward that way.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, love your community. Tell us about that, please. What was that and how'd it go?
Well, I didn't attend. Love Your Community is a community-wide event that's been held. Well, it didn't get held the last couple of years, but it was held again this year. It's kind of bringing the community together, doing cleanup, just kind of building relationships. And as far as I know, Danielle attended. It went well. I don't know.
How is the chamber involved with this?
This goes back to me popping up in that exec meeting, paying
Oh.
bills and the exec saying,
Yeah,
what is going on, Sarah?
we acted as a fiscal sponsor for that event. It's just a small event, but yeah.
Okay, so that's nice to know that we have other fiscal sponsor activities besides the raffle already.
Oh, we do, yeah. And I just signed another fiscal sponsorship with a man and woman that do a grassroots event every year where they hand out meals around, I think it's Thanksgiving. And they hand out meals around the holiday, and they want to be able to, they've been doing that for a number of years and wanted to be able to raise funds. So we have a fiscal sponsorship agreement with them. And then this Aon, which is a relatively new organization, we're looking at doing a fiscal, they're again, grassroots. They're focused on advocating for the homeless population. So we're in discussion with them about acting as a fiscal sponsor for them. So we're definitely working on and have more people asking about fiscal sponsorships.
Good, and that's why I wanted to bring this to the board, so that we know that, so we're all aware that the fiscal sponsorship program idea, whatever you want to call it, is
Fiscal sponsorships are a huge opportunity for us to bring in revenue from organizations that either just want to do some grassroots work or just don't have their nonprofit status yet, and they're looking for somebody to be the fiscal sponsor in the interim. And I know we certainly had, I had a meeting with Ashley Thorne, now Ashley Rickard at the Kansas Health Foundation, about what our fiscal sponsorships look like. Sarah and Ashley had a conversation with James Woods about what our fiscal sponsorships look like. So they're definitely, Nonprofit Go is acting as a fiscal sponsor for a number of organizations, and there's certainly plenty of opportunity for us to do that, not only in this area, but across the state as we get that word out to other foundations.
Right.
Just to from what you saw, we love your community, huge events, and our tenant, the Wichita Bonding, they are huge organizer of that. Now it's huge. It was evergreen. They cleaned up the community. We started at 7 a.m. We went to 7 p.m.
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of connections. But what you were seeing on Friday was me paying a lot of bills. And then I was at the event for 12 hours paying the bills. So that's the fiscal sponsorship role that I'm carrying our credit card. So kind of putting a picture on that.
Yeah, and it won't always be like that. That was kind of a chaotic thing, and because I was on vacation and couldn't be there earlier in the week to manage some of that stuff, it ended up being a little chaotic, but it won't always be like that.
Okay.
Because I won't be on a cruise ship every week.
Update on our Advocacy Vista.
So we have been working internally on identifying and kind of reworking some of the roles here that we currently have to identify what best fits with whom, and trying to identify whether that Advocacy Vista will just be an Advocacy Vista, or we'll have that development / advocacy, exactly how that works out, whether we maintain 2 vistas or we just maintain 1 vista that will help launch that advocacy program. I have to, at some point in time, hire a program coordinator. I have to figure out how to hire that program coordinator, because as we move in towards the end of the year and start planning our programming for next year, later this year, having somebody in that can oversee programming is going to be huge. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Okay. And 6 minutes won't do this justice, but we do need to at least dip our toes, I think, in the Urban League management opportunity.
So Urban League reached out to me probably about a month ago. And for those of you who don't know, I did strategic planning with the Urban League a couple of years ago. And I'm asking that this please stay, in this room, in this meeting, whatever. But Urban League has struggled for a number of years, really since Brian Black left. They have struggled consistently. And when I went in and did strategic planning with them back in 2019, they hadn't been able to hire an executive director for a number of years, which was really hurting the organization. So I made some recommendations. They hired an executive director. Unfortunately, they didn't hire the right executive director. They needed somebody, and that's been an ongoing struggle. Whoever's run the organization since Brian, they need somebody that can turn the organization around. They are now underwater and literally on the verge of closing their doors. So they reached out to me to kind of give them some guidance and all. They have, their executive director is furloughed. They don't have the funds to pay her. They are deep in debt to their other employee for what they owe. They're not able to pay the payments on their building. So they're really on the verge of closing their doors. So I met with them, discussed some things with them. And one of those things was consulting with them over the next year through a management agreement and kind of overseeing the turnaround of that organization, which would mean they would still keep their one full-time administrative assistant. We would hire for them 2 vistas that would help. They don't have any programming running. They haven't for several years. They have programs in place that they've ran in the past that can be revenue generators for them. So a program person and a development? Yes, and a development vista that could help them start getting some of their sponsorships and stuff. And I quoted them I think it's $59,000 plus the cost of the vistas and the cost of their one full-time employee to be funded through grant funding. So I submitted a proposal to them. I have not heard back from them. And we here at the nonprofit chamber would kind of oversee the organization, but we would guide the vistas and Frankie in doing the work. They can't find an executive director right now that is who they need, especially for what they can pay that executive director. That's been an ongoing struggle with them. It's just hard in the nonprofit world. So I have sent out the proposal. I have not heard anything back from them. I know they were discussing whether or not to let us do the consulting. I think if we don't do that, they're probably going to shut their doors. Which I think is very unfortunate for some place like the Urban League. There are some other nonprofit organizations that I could say, okay, well, that just happened. But there's so much funding around DEI these days. And the Urban League, I think, is so important to our community. I felt like that if we as a nonprofit chamber could help turn this organization around, that we should probably do that. And it would generate some revenue for us as well. I'll admit that. $59,000. So that's what's going on with the Urban League.
Cindy, if they don't have money to pay their current people, how are they going to pay for the consulting?
That would be generated through grants.
Through grants, okay.
And I had a conversation with the Wichita Community Foundation. They're willing to work with us to potentially provide some funding and or help us identify other people. And we have a list. Ashley's created a list and they have a grant list. We have a list of who their past potential funders have been, but they just have not, they hired somebody to be the executive director, and nothing against this person, because I happen to serve on the board with this person, on another board with this person. They hired somebody to run the organization that had a strength in grant writing. That person has written 1 grant in this year. So they need some different strengths for their executive director besides grant writing. They need, and I told them, and they have a plan for their board members have committed to reaching out. They've assigned people reaching out to particular past funders to make asks. So the board would very much be involved in that making ask that, so I put together the best plan. We had a conversation as staff about what that could potentially look like. But I don't want the perception to be out there that we're going to take on doing everything. We're going to take on doing everything for the Urban League because they would have people in place that we could guide to do that work. But I think they've got to have some guidance. And again, I think if they don't, I think we'll lose our Urban League.
Mm-hmm. And Aaron, I saw your comment in there about concern for the chamber's capacity first. And when Cindy brought this up to the exec committee, those were exactly our questions too. And so I had a conversation with Cindy, you know, like, because I'm sure Cindy had a plan. And the way she explained it is that she would not be, they've already been running with this administrative assistant. And the money from the United or from the Urban League would help fund positions for staff at the nonprofit chamber. So she could go into more details at another time because we're, like I said, we could just dip our toe. Can't do this justice now, but I wanted to at least make sure that board members were aware of this opportunity to help the Urban League to support our staffing as well as their staffing and the great publicity and awareness that this could bring to KNC. So
When does this decision need to be made or this conversation need to be had? If
So-
they're in that, if they need, this sounds like a decision they would need to be making pretty quickly.
They do need to make the decision pretty quickly, and before we sign any kind of an agreement with them, that agreement would, as well as the plan, would come back to our board for approval.
So we would need to meet about this before our next monthly meeting.
I don't know. I can't say, Jessica. I know that I provided them the proposal before I went on vacation. I haven't heard anything back yet from them. They were having to have a discussion at their board. So, and again, as I told Amy, as we increase, and as you look on the CEO, on my CEO report, and you see the consulting that I'm doing, because I'm the one that's doing that consulting. Consulting is an area that we can generate revenue. No matter whether it's doing one big consulting gig or 20 smaller consulting gigs that equal the same amount of time, consulting takes time. It's going to take time. As we grow our revenue in that area, and as we've grown our revenue in that area, that's going to, you know, if to do consulting for West, whatever that organization is in Florida that's paying for my expenses to fly there and paying for the consulting that I'm doing there, that takes, I mean, it's going to take time. But the only way we can offset that is by adding additional staff, that as we generate more revenue, and that's what I've always done, as we added something, tried to make whatever it was that we added increase revenue that allowed us to hire staff to handle us continuing to build capacity. Because we can't just, I mean, there's no way when I was a single person here that I could continue to grow and do more and more and more without adding additional staff. And that's what I've done over the years, and what I hope to continue to do as we do more work is that generates more revenue. We bring on more staff to handle that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jessica.
No, you're fine. I just want to make sure that we have appropriate time to flesh out how this would affect us.
Yes.
And that we give them ample time to have an opportunity for them to then figure out what would, if we say yes or no, how to best protect and move forward with their organization as well.
Yep.
So obviously we can't go into detail on this
Right.
now.
Because right now, we have to.
But
right.
just to somebody's point, we may need to have a special board meeting given timing
Yeah, it sounds like it.
between
Yes.
now and our next board meeting. If not, we, you know, we'll take sufficient amount of time in the next board meeting to discuss this. So other discussion items, just I wanted to point out, did anybody see on LinkedIn that Patrick O'Brien is now the annual fund manager at the Philharmonic? Where
I saw that.
so we helped
awesome.
launch a career.
Yes.
So that's exciting. So if you're connected with him, you might want to wish him the best. So that said, does anybody have any other discussion items that we need to put on a different agenda and not talk about today?
Yeah, I would just to the discussion that we just barely started to broach. I think maybe one of the things we need to do as a board is have a discussion about what the business plan is for the future of KNC. Identify how we expect time to be spent, if that's consulting or if it's drumming up memberships or what it is, so that we all are on the same page about opportunities like this one. Because I think given kind of what we learned this year and where things were the first 4 months of this year, a considerable amount of discussion around that and getting everybody on the same page, I think, is going to be needed.
Yeah, and we are never going to be a sustainable organization, even increasing memberships. We're not going to be sustainable on memberships. None of the other associations that we deal with at the nonprofit council, many of them, memberships is only a small portion of what they do because they're not sustainable. The regional chamber is not sustainable on memberships. We're never going to be sustainable on memberships and programming.
So Erin will make a note of revisiting visiting that question that you brought up.
Yep.
Any other points of discussion for later? All right, then do I have a move to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, we've got 2 enthusiastic moves. So could we call that a first and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Honey, you devil.
Aye.
Any opposed?
See you tonight.
All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good
See you
day.
tonight.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I wonder at what point in time this recording stopped. Oh, it didn't stop. Okay.